hand paint it with acrylic paint. It is definitely on watercolor paper, and when I get done, I'm going to attach it to this canvas board that I glued the napkin on. So it's just kind of a fun combination, and I'm just trying something new out. So after it gets painted, it will have this outline, which I kind of like because it'll make the subject pop out even more. So I'm going to get started now and paint the details on my little friends over here. So I think I'm going to be working with neutral colors, lots of browns and greens. I kind of want them to look as realistic as possible, and then the little mushroom on top will be red, which I should pull out right now. Get ready for that. So, but for now, I think what I'll do is start with the things that are further in the background, like his little hat, and the snail is underneath him. So let's see, I love this color right here. It's called Burnt Sienna. And again, this is Hippie Crafter acrylic paint. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that down as a base for my snail. And I think I'm gonna add just a smidge of white to it. Just a little bit, just the white, just because it's a little on the dark side and I don't want it to be that dark. So let me put this aside over here. And never start with a completely dry paintbrush, just wet it a little. And I'm gonna go ahead and mix these up, as you can see, and just adding a very little bit of white, just so it's not so dark. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and fill this in. And just as I thought, the black is coming through, which is good. So we'll go ahead and just fill this in. And try to stay in the lines if you can, kind of like a coloring book. We're just gonna keep, and just turn it around. Just, it'll really help to keep staying in the lines. And here we go. Just fill it in. Let's see. If you find that your brush is maybe too big or too small, go ahead and graduate to another size, which I'm gonna use this one, which is a size 6 round brush. But as soon as I get to the more intricate parts, I'm gonna switch over to a smaller brush. So you can see the black coming through. I'm really happy about that. I really wanted that to come through. And the acrylic paint is working very nicely on watercolor paper. So let's just spin that around. If you find that your paint isn't gliding, then add some water to it. Okay, so I'm going to switch over to a smaller brush just to get this little area in here. And as soon as I get done with this, I'm going to add some lighter shades while it's wet. It'll kind of blend in a little bit better if I do. So I want that. But I do love having this dark color as a base. There we go. And this one doesn't have a number, this paintbrush, but it's definitely smaller. Okay, so I've got the body of the snail blocked in. And so while it's wet, I am going to highlight this part of the snail, and by adding some white to it. Let's see if it'll show up. Yep. It looks really cute already. And I'm going to go ahead and highlight the little antlers here. Oh, looks like I got out of the lines a little bit, but I can cover that up later. Okay, so let me add a little bit more white to that, and And then I'm going to go ahead and add some little bumps and lumps in the lighter shade. Just some more shadowing just to give it more depth. Let's see, I know there's a lot more little highlights here on all of the texture of the snail. So we want to make sure that we don't forget about that. I'm going to go ahead and outline the bottom here. And as we get back here, and these will get highlighted again, I'm just kind of dotting it just to give it that kind of slimy texture that it has. So I'm going to keep going. You can hear my dog tip-tapping on the floor. Sorry about the noise. But so you can definitely see the texture that's happening. And let's see. A little bit lighter. I might do some glazing, which will be fun for you to learn in this lesson when I get done with this. So we'll go ahead and just let this dry a little bit before we move on to the next layer. Okay, so we'll work on the shell next. Okay, so I've taken a little of this yellow ochre and I'm gonna mix it into what I'm working on right here. And you can see it right over here. It's just a little bit, but it's enough to kind of warm things up a little. So I'm gonna mix it in my medium color here. Just kind of wanna add a warmer tone, and I'm adding a little bit of white to that. So yellow ochre and white to the mixture that I already had, which was the burnt sienna and white. Okay, so I'm just gonna start highlighting this a little bit more. We just want layers. And come along my little, the separation between the middle of the body down to the sides. And then just a few dots in a few places, and then we're going to really highlight this area in here, which will give our snail some more texture and lift it out. Just really have fun with this. I want this to be more of a whimsical painting and not so much looking like a realistic one, just very whimsical and fun. So you can see where I'm just kind of putting a few highlights, again still using the yellow ochre and the white mixed in with our original color. And we're going to do one more color after this, but it's just nice to kind of mix other shades. And just kind of dot it with the paintbrush, not looking for perfect dots, just looking for that fun texture that snails have. Not a huge fan of snails, but in painting like this, it's very cute. Okay, so we're going to come around here under the shell and then highlight this part right here, the bottom. Okay, I think that looks pretty cute. And then I'm just going to kind of I'm going to go back to that other color that's the burnt sienna and white, and just barely highlight this part right here. Just a little bit. Okay, so now this is where I'm going to let this dry a little bit, and then I'm going to put another layer on top of that, just really lifting this part out here and up here. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and block in the shell. And for the shell, I like the color of the snail, but I'm going to add a little bit of this burnt umber just to kind of make it a different shade. So I'll add some of that to the burnt sienna. And as you can see, it's more of a chocolate brown color. And we'll go ahead and just block that in, trying to go around my little frog. And again, if you feel that you want to switch paintbrushes, I mean, really, it's a personal thing. Whatever you feel works for you, use that brush, because not everybody is coordinated to use every brush that they watch, you know, other artists use. So it's best just to figure out what works with your hands and go with that. So as you can see, I'm just blocking it in this really beautiful chocolate color. Again, it is the burnt umber mixed with burnt sienna to achieve this color. And it's really rich, and it's definitely different than what the snail's body was made out of. I'm just trying to go with very neutral look. Go around the little frog's feet. Again, I got this on Cricut.com on their images, and you don't have to have a subscription to get certain images. You can go ahead and just purchase them separately, and they run about $1.99 sometimes, maybe sometimes a little bit more, but well worth it. Once you buy it, you have it. So still going around his foot. And I'm adding a tiny bit of water just so it will glide nicer. There we go. And I'm definitely seeing the black come through. That's good. That just helps. And just keep going. Almost done filling in this part. Around. While I have this color, these two browns mixed together, I'm going to mix some white in with it and get a lighter shade, just using the white that I already have. And I'm going to fill this part right up here. This little part that's underneath his mushroom hat, which I think is so funny. This acrylic paint is so wonderful. I've really had a nice time using it, and it seems to have a really nice coverage. The colors are very solid, and I'm really happy with the quality of this paint. So I highly recommend if you want to try some acrylic paint. It's very affordable too. Okay, so you can see that I just did underneath his hat because the top part's going to be red with white dots. Okay, so while I'll go back to the shell. So what I'm going to try to achieve with the shell is to really make the shell pop out. And that we can achieve through just applying lighter and lighter and lighter tones. Now it's still wet, which is great. So I am going to take the white mixture, which is white and burnt sienna, and a little bit of this yellow ochre, just to get a nice warm tone. And let's see, I think it is better if I just kind of go in the direction of those stripes, in the direction of the shell. So we'll just kind of very simple, keeping in mind I don't want to hit the hand of the frog, so I'll go around that. And my paint's still wet, which kind of works for you because it just blends in with the last color. And And you'll see how we make that pop in a minute. Okay, so looks like it continues over here. I want to still stay in the same motion I was in. Whoop, round and round like this, getting that nice round shape. Okay, and as I come over here, same thing, we just want to go with the motion of the stripes that were in the drawing. So we can see our little shell is really popping out. And one more row, and that's this one here. And you'll see in a second when we get to the last part, I've got this one little tiny piece right here. And let's see, how do I want to make that go? We'll make it just do the same direction. Now, I don't really have a shell to look at, so I'm just kind of going off of memory. So now I'm going to add some more white to this mixture, a little bit of water, and in order to make it look a little bit more, you know, puffy and round, we're just going to come along in the center and go right over those lines. So you see what's happening? It's just getting more of that round feel. So I'm going to go ahead and keep going throughout, but not the whole thing. I'm kind of trying to stay like in one section. So there'll be several layers before we get to the finished. And just a little bit more. See how that works? Now it's just getting kind of a rounded feel to it. And then we'll do one more lighter color on top of that. I will probably let that dry a little bit more just so it really pops. So you see how I'm just kind of staying in there. Now the foot is going to cause a shadow, so I'm trying to avoid that right now and just keep it nice and dark on the as it comes around like that. And we'll accentuate that even more. Okay, so for the last layer, we really want to take advantage of the color white. And so as you can see, I've got some white here, and I've got just a tiny bit of that paint color on my brush. So it's making a very nice cream color. Just a little bit, enough to make it to where it's not pure white, but very, very pastel-like color. So now I'm going to go ahead and just kind of give a little bit more definition to my snail on the edge right here. And I'm going to just highlight a few of these little dots here. We really want that to be the last layer coming off of the snail. And again, this is just adding white to our existing colors that we've been playing with. Just highlighting everything here and there. And his antennas, we want to highlight those. And yeah, we'll go ahead and highlight the ends of these as well. I guess they don't have eyes. I don't see where any pictures that I can find where there's eyes on a snail. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not a huge fan of snails. So, okay. so let's go ahead and continue to highlight all these slimy areas. Just get this bottom part right here. A few of these little dots up here. Very good. Okay, so we're going to stop right there with the snail. I really like the direction that he's going in, and so right now I want to highlight the curvature in there, and I'm just going to use the same color. Why not? It's a very light pastel color. Add a little bit more white to it, and we're going to come even in the center of this. So you see how it's less of the last, as far as the width goes. I'm using less. So just go ahead and this is how we create you know, a shape, and that's merely just knowing where to highlight things, how to, and you know, how much to apply. So we'll go ahead and do this as well. Again, I'm doing a lot less than I did the first round. And the top. Alrighty, so basically I really want this to dry before I work on the frog, because I'll put my hand right into it if I don't let it dry really well. So I'm going to stop here, let this dry, and then come back. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get started with the frog. I kind of just going to do like a little toad guy. And so in order to do this, I'm going to be working with greens, and then his little belly will be in the mustardy gold colors. And I do have this pale green that I'm going to actually mix this with the burnt sienna color to kind of make it look a little bit more avocado color. So let's put a little splotch of that in here. And mixing colors is just kind of a, you know, you just have to go for it and see what happens with it. So that color is going to neutralize it. And as you can see, it's just more of an avocado color. So we're gonna go with that. Let me add a little water to it so it moves a little bit better. And so I've got that color mixed. I really like this green. And I'm gonna be using that white again that I have over here. So we want to make sure that we always have white around for highlights. And I still have some of this mustardy gold color. So I think, which is yellow ochre, I think I want to add some of that to the green just to warm it up a smidge. I'm going to save this one for the browns if I need it for the browns. And you only need a little. That's what I love about these paints. You only need a little. It goes so far. And I'm going to add some white to this just to kind of warm it up. That's good. And remember, acrylic paint always dries darker. So I'm going to go ahead and start with his body. The front of his hands will be green, and the back, this part of his hands would not be the green. It would be more of the gold color. So let me push this out of the way, and I'm going to go ahead and just fill this in. I think my brush is a little large. Might switch over to a smaller brush. First, I'll get what I can get out of this one. Don't want to waste the paint. That is a green that I was looking for, but I am going to switch to a smaller brush because I'm not feeling like I have complete control right now. So let's go to this one here. And this says it's a number 8 round. But a lot of companies, they don't run the same. So I'm going to go ahead and start blocking in his little toes. I absolutely love nature. I love all these cute amphibians and want to make them a little on the comical side though. Don't want it to be so serious. Turn it around. It makes it easier. Never be hesitant to turn your piece around, so that I've seen some of my students, you know, really crank their hand around to try to do something, and I just go, don't move your hand, move your piece, and it'll make it so much easier. So we'll just come back around over here because we are definitely going to highlight him just like we did our snail. So let me add a little more. Oh, and always feel free to add more water. If you feel like it's not gliding on, add a little water. It goes a long way. And the back of his eye. Turn it around so I can reach it better. I'll probably do his eyes kind of gold color. Again, I don't even have a picture of a frog right now in front of me to go by. So if you feel more confident having, you know, a photograph of a frog to look at, by all means, do that. So I'm going to go ahead and hit this part of his leg, but not this part of his arm, because that would be like the inside of his arm, and I want that to be the same color as his belly. It's the under part of our frog. Okay, and right now I'm going to do the top of his arm right here. Okay, I like this. I'm happy with this. So while it's wet, I'm thinking I should work on some fun little highlights on him. So with that said, let me just block that in a little bit better. I'm going to take some white and mix it in that color with a little bit, warm it up with some yellow ochre. Okay, and let's go ahead and just kind of highlight some fun little areas here. Seems like it would, because this is sticking out right here, that would be highlight. The top part of his eye, these little bumps. And of course his knee, top part of his leg. We can always come back and do more highlights. I'm just doing this. This is like a first layer, just like when we were doing the snail. And I'll do the top of this knee as well. How about just a little bit right here? Okay, so this is a good place to stop, and I'm going to go ahead and jump right into his little belly area right there. And so I'm going to take some of this yellow ochre and mix it in with a little bit of that burnt sienna that we started off with, and add some white to that. So it's burnt sienna, yellow ochre, and white. I'm looking for just a really nice caramel color. And again, if it's not gliding well for you, which this wasn't, just add water to it. It's your best friend when it comes to acrylics. And this brush seems to be working just fine for me. Again, if you're not comfortable with the brush you're using, switch over, go to a smaller, go to a bigger, whatever you feel works for you. Okay, so we're just gonna block. Right now we're doing what's called blocking in. I'm blocking this in, kind of blending it right into the green. Super fun. I like painting on watercolor paper. I don't necessarily want to always go run out and buy a canvas. and Hippie Crafters does make those canvas boards, which I love, and that's what we put the napkin on. So we will be using that. But the one thing I like about those boards is you can just pop them right into a frame when you're done. Okay, so there's this little piece of his belly right here. I want to get that. And I'm almost wondering, I'm going to use this color for his eye. I said I was going to do a mustard eye, so just going to do this part right here because the other part is black. Okay, so let's do some highlights just like we did with the green part. I'm going to just take white. White is my best friend as far as highlights go, and mix it with my gold color so I have a much lighter shade of it. And let's go ahead and run it along here. Give him, highlight his little mouth and over here in the front. And maybe highlight his belly a little bit here. Just adding some lighter tones. And maybe just a little in his eyes. And I think I'm going to take this color and highlight his kneecaps again. And the reason why I'm using this color is because it has a little bit of the gold in it. You see how it made that little knee pop up? And highlight his little hands. Again, coming up here. Highlighting those. And coming up here on the top again and highlighting this area in here. Sometimes just watching really helps to know, you know, am I doing this right? Or how does she do that? It's best just to watch these videos first and kind of get a feel for what I'm doing and then maybe go for it instead of trying to do it while I'm doing it. Watch it first and, you know, just try to see if that's something that you understand before you dive in. Highlight his little toes. Just brush a little along there. And I think that's probably it for our frog. Maybe I'll go ahead and put some more little spot things here. So you kind of just have to look at it and decide, you know, what you want to add or take away. Add maybe a few more little dots here. The one thing I would like to do though is really darken underneath his bottom area because it's underneath here, and all I really have to do is just take that green that I made with the burnt sienna and just kind of hit it right there. I'll take a little bit more brown and mix it in that. Really make that under part of his bottom pop out, or go down, I should say. Yeah. And then I'm going to go ahead and get this crevice in here. So this is a good place to stop. I'm going to go just take black and fill this in here, but I'm going to leave the white areas and finish up with the mushroom. Okay, so I'm ready to do my little mushroom. And since it's way up at the top, I'm going to turn it around so that I can reach it. And I've just taken it's called Scarlet out of my set from Hippie Crafters, and now I'm just going to block in, and this is where I really want to be careful because I don't want to get those I want to keep my circles white, so it's very important that I stay in the lines, and this is just really good practice your steady hand. So I'll just keep going. As you can see, I already got on the line, but I'm just going to take some white paint and go over that when I get to that point. Sometimes, you know, it doesn't matter how much experience you have as an artist. Sometimes your hand shakes and you get out of the lines. We are definitely far from mastering everything. No matter how many years I have in painting, I still mess up, and that's okay. So go ahead and just block this all in the red of love, love, love these red mushrooms. They just pop in, and I love it that he's got a mushroom hat. So fun. Okay, so we'll just keep blocking that in. I feel like I need to turn it again. Get it over here. We go. And just to highlight it a bit, I'm going to put a little bit of a dark color along the edge. So I'm just going to take a little bit of blue and mix it with my red to make kind of a purple color, and just run it along the bottom here. Just to give it a little, so it looks like it's curling under a little. Yeah, that's what I wanted to do. Brush it upwards. My snail's already dry to touch. Okay, and then I just kind of want to highlight this underneath. As you can see, the ink came through from my marker, and that's okay because it kind of helps me to know, what direction I should be painting that in. So I'm just going to go ahead and make a lighter shade of this by mixing it with that color. And we'll just go ahead and, oh, not light enough. Sometimes you just have to keep mixing till you get it right. I'm just going to come across here in the direction of the under part of my mushroom. See? Maybe add a little bit more white and let it pop in a few places. And he is getting close to being done. I'm going to just go ahead and take some white and clean it up where it needs to get cleaned up. But other than that, my piece is looking super cute. I am very happy with it. And so as you can see, once I move all this out of the way, I will take this and then glue it on top of this, and the white just makes it pop out. So of course I'm going to have to let this dry really well before I attach it to my canvas, and then after that dries, I'm probably going to put a clear coat over the whole thing just to really make it, glaze it up and make it look all the same shine. So this is it. I'm just going to keep it simple. This is the end of this lesson, and I hope you experiment. I don't even know what made me think about, I've seen people decoupage with, napkins, and I saw these really cute napkins at Joann's, and I just fell in love with them, and that's why I wanted to do it, on a canvas. And then I thought, once I did it on a canvas, I thought, well, wouldn't it be cute to put a subject right in the middle? So there you go. I hope you had fun watching, learning, and I hope you give it a try and put your own spin on it. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel and share it with all of your friends that love to paint or want to learn how to paint. And check back, because I always have new lessons, and I'm going to be better about posting more lessons more often. So enjoy the rest of your day or evening, and God bless you. We will paint again soon.